Okay, so hopping into the panel series. So just talking a little bit about what the panel series is. It is a Communo panel. So every week or every 2 weeks, it's a bi-weekly series, will feature different freelancers, agencies, and in the future businesses as well that are on the platform. And basically we talk about how to be successful on Communo and different ways of being successful or tips and tricks that people who have been on the platform and seen success know. So today our panel is about switching from a freelancer to becoming an agency of one and changing your mindset and how to deal with that. So today we have John, Aaron, and Rob. Aaron and Rob have been a part of the Camino platform for a very long time. John is a relatively new member, but has really jumped in there and really started a cohort of different members and really helping to change the mindset of a bunch of freelancers from freelancer to agency of one. So I'll start off with John, if you want to introduce yourself to everybody here.
Hi, I'm John Walden. I work out of Grand Junction, Colorado, which is a little town on the west slope, not on the Front Range where all the big cities are. So I like it. We have access to a lot of great outdoor activities, which is part of why I moved here. Lifestyle, and I really am a kind of passionate about this concept agency of one, and I put a lot of time and energy into it. My agency is focused on a strategy, upfront strategic piece of the business, specifically, kind of really focusing and really narrowing in my focus and my positioning on positioning. So.
Awesome, thanks. We'll head on to Aaron.
Hi, yeah, as Rowan said, I've been sort of a part of Communo before it was called Communo. Kind of like to say it like that. I am a writer by trade. I work out of Calgary, Alberta. I'm actually in the Communo headquarter offices right now, socially distanced safely from everyone, I'll just add. And I really focus on one-on-one projects with executives and entrepreneurs, particularly serving as their ghostwriter and their writing coach, and for all of their high stakes communications, things like that. And yeah, I've been a Communo member since day one, and I 100% believe in it. It has changed my business for sure.
Amazing. And on to Rob.
I too have also been a Communo member for a long time, along with Aaron, and I'm an author, a teacher, and a brand rehab therapist, and I operate the Brand Rehabilitation and Wellness Clinic, which is the only clinic of its kind in the world, here out of my basement of my house, north of Kingston, Ontario. And I also enjoy the lifestyle of living out here and not in a big city. But I work with organizations and usually their senior leadership team. And I like to think I work with them to help in the prevention, treatment, and recovery from unsustainable business and marketing practices. And I affectionately refer to my clients as patients because I'm often guiding them towards some sort of desirable outcome or a state of optimal business or brand health. And referring to myself as a therapist is a bit of a positioning trick because, as far as I know, I'm the only one in the world, and also helps my clients view me as the expert, not them, and allows me to lead them a bit because I'm kind of picky about who I work with. I like to tell people I accept new patients by referral only, and Communo is a really big part of that. So
awesome. Thanks for jumping right into there. Okay, for the rest of the webinar, guys, just to let you know, we're going to run through 3 different questions that we have prepared for the panelists, and then we'll have a Q&A session, as well as one of the Communo team is going to hop on and talk a bit about a new feature that we will be bringing up pretty soon. So that'll be around 11:30, and we'll first get started with the different questions. Feel free to send any questions that you have through the chat or Q&A at any time, and we'll get to them all at the end. Awesome. So the first question, how would you say an agency of one differs from a freelancer? We'll start it out with Aaron here.
Yeah, so I've given some thought to this question, and I think the real difference is that in your positioning, you actually create some branding around yourself when you are an agency of one, And just like any other business would, no one, it just happens to be a business with one person in it, but it's a business versus just a freelancer. I see is more someone who just takes work kind of randomly, takes it as it comes and goes, and doesn't really have isn't intentional about the work that they're taking on and who they're working with. So becoming an agency of one, you become much more intentional in all of your actions and all of your messaging.
Awesome.
Yeah.
You guys want to add on to that, John or Rob?
Yeah. I find the term agency of one a little bit strange because one implies that you're all alone, and I certainly don't feel all alone. And to me, the singular of agency has always been agent, not agency of one. And I love metaphors and analogies and things like that. And I kind of think that's very much how I operate, like an agent, or a secret agent kind of thing. Whereas freelancers are more like, say they're the ones with the superpowers, like, say Iron Man or Thor or Hulk, and I'm Nick Fury, who assembles Avengers, and I'm nowhere near as cool as Samuel L. Jackson, but I don't necessarily have any superpowers, but I'm more like I'm a regular guy who helps clients spot problems and that need specialized expertise or superpowers to solve. And so, where I add my value is in knowing how to assemble those teams of Avengers. So,
Yep.
but I think that's really what it comes down to for me is I think maybe a big difference is that we're problem solvers, or at least that's the way that I view it. I know Aaron and John too, and yeah, they're problem solvers. I prefer a fancier term, which is solutions architects, but whereas as agents or agencies of one, we diagnose and help prescribe remedies or solutions, whereas freelancers jump in and tend to fix and treat. So agents are really, sort of like aggregators of talent, like a general physician would be to a surgeon, for example, right? Or a general contractor would be to a carpenter or electrician kind of thing. So because
Do you
many
think
freelancers represent specific skills and things.
Yeah, do you think a freelancer is more like an order taker, like it just executes the work, and an agent or an agency sort of would first ask the question why?
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I think freelancers are really, I think I was once a freelancer too, and freelancers are often looking for opportunities to apply their specific skills or craft for fees, and agents are looking for ways to deploy freelancers.
Yeah.
Right. And so, often, agencies of one like us will make our money on the upfront work needed to get to the skilled or craft work that many freelancers, not all of them, but many freelancers kind of focus on. And agents, or agencies of one can provide some of the skilled expertise too, if they have any, like Aaron, for example, who has some writing skills.
Yeah. So, and also I think when you point to the Nick Fury example and also what you said, Aaron, about positioning, and I'll give a tip of the hat here to Chris Nealon, because he's the one who said this to me, and it was like light bulb go on. Don't be billable, right? Which is that, like in terms of like doing specific tasks. Now up front, there's, in the kind of moving upstream, you're moving in more into the strategic place and you're assembling those teams. But you're as an agency of one, you're not necessarily all of your time is billable. You're actually creating the work and producing your income off the margin, right? In a different way than you would think about, like, I got to do so many hours a month or I'm going to not be able to pay the rent.
Yeah, that's one way definitely one way you could do it. The other way is for you to charge for the value that you're providing and to try and value whatever that is, right, in terms of the effort or expertise that you're bringing to the table, and then get out of the way and let the other freelancers build a client directly if that's the way that you want to work it. Or sometimes the value I add is just being a one-stop shop for those clients who don't really want to manage it as influence. Like, let's just flow all the billing through me and we can figure it out. But like, it's you got to kind of know where you're adding value and what to do. But that's certainly a way to approach it though.
Yeah,
absolutely. Awesome. I think that sums up a good first question. We'll head on to the second one here, which is, how does Communo enable you as a small agency? We'll switch it up. We'll start with Rob.
Yeah, I talked about agencies of one or agents being talent aggregators or, and solution architects. And, so therefore we assemble teams of experts that are skilled in their craft and their discipline. And, much like a real team, right? And so Communo has become to me my virtual bench, right? And so when I have a need for certain expertise, I call resources from my virtual bench who possess that expertise out onto the field to play. And I think the key for me though is I like to know who's on my bench. We were just talking about this before the call started, and I can describe that later. But I try to make a point of just getting to know people within the Communo community, because I like to work with people that I know and like, and I think everyone's the same way. And I think that every freelancer has the same opportunity that I have as an agency of one. And because, by knowing who's who in the zoo and what, some of the other people that you have complementary skills within that community, you can start having new and different discussions with your clients the way that I have new and different discussions with my clients about, a variety of problems, most of which I don't know how to fix until I start calling on, those with the specific skills and expertise off my virtual bench.
Mm-hmm. I'll add, we were also talking about this before the call today, that I actually had, just today I had an issue. I had a designer for a writing project that I'm working on, and for a number of reasons it didn't work out. And I have something due tomorrow. And I had one of those panic attacks at 7 a.m. this morning, like, oh my God, I need a designer to fix this issue and I need it now. And what am I gonna do? I will hop right onto the app. I feel like I'm like a walking, I mean, this is actually true. This actually happened this morning. I went right onto the app. I posted exactly what I needed. I made it very clear that it was like needed for tomorrow. So that was, there's no negotiation there. Within an hour, I had like several really, really high quality applicants. Within the next hour, I had selected someone and he's already on his way. It'll be done tomorrow. Amazing. And I can it's like amazing. And that would have it's just simply not possible at that Camino. That's it.
Yeah, so. That's totally one of the strengths of Communo, is that ability to draw on teams, to build a team, to whether that's a one person or many. And I also think that, when I came on, one of the things that I was looking for as an agency, and as an agency of one, was a network of peers. And that's one of the things that's very much available on the platform, to reach out and say, who's like me, either earlier than me in the life cycle or later than me, who's been through this tube, so really building those relationships of peers and mentors that can help you grow, number one, and then the teams piece, and also obviously the prospecting piece. So I think all three of those are met by the platform in some way. And, part of this goes back to like, where are we all sitting, right? I mean, I happen to be sitting in a co-working space, but a lot of us, we're sitting in our homes. And who are the peers we have around us that aren't animals, children, or spouses, significant others? It's like, how do you, like, who talks the talk, right? Who walks the same walk you walk? And how do you connect with those people when the only view you have is to the unmowed lawn outside your window? That's.
Yeah, you bring up a really important word though, which is connection, right? And I think that's, community is nothing if it doesn't have connection. And it's not always agencies of one that are out there drumming up work for freelancers. About a month or so ago, a very talented designer art director from the community contacted me. We were talking, and they thought they had an opportunity to do a bigger type of project with a client of theirs that they've worked with for a number of years, but they don't know how to approach the opportunity. They didn't even know how to kind of put something like that together. And so through a series of conversations and an introduction to the client, we were able to figure out what the problem to be solved was, and put together a framework or a process to actually approach solving that problem. And that's turned into a pretty big project that now involves a bunch of Communo members. And so you know, it's really interesting. And I think agencies of one, you know, if you are a freelancer listening to this, you know, if you find yourself in that same situation, you can call on people like John and Aaron or myself, and we can have those discussions with you and help you figure out how to have those new types of discussions with your clients if you're uncomfortable having them on your own.
Totally. We've all made mistakes. We've all have people to learn from still. There's all, you know, plenty of mistakes to be made down the road. And it's just great to have that community all around us of people that have had all different experiences that we know that we can look to and help us and support us.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. I kind of have a question building off of that one. How many of you, or which of you guys are still working in like your core thing? So I know Erin is still working as a core writer, so I feel like she works both as an agency one and she's like on a freelancer bench for another agency of one. John and Rob, do you find you're the same way in that you're doing even freelance work for other people as well as being an agency of one and outsourcing other people, or do you find that you've mainly switched to more being the Nick Fury of the group and you're not necessarily an Avenger going out to the field?
I can say I'm trying my hardest to stay within the positioning of an agency of one doing strategy. I have a hangover clients. I work with another agency, and that gateways me to half a dozen clients who are doing strategy and account management and, you know, freelancer management for, but where I really have focused my own business development efforts on are specifically totally within the positioning. So
yeah, I've been trying to do less of that. You know, strategy is really my game, and I feel like I'm in a position now where I can be picky about you know, the project type work where I'm, you know, coming in to do that. I guess I get to pick and choose the stuff that's really most interesting to me, or that I feel would be the best application of my skills. You know, rather, I feel like I don't have to pretend to know how to do it all, or pretend that I've got expertise or experience in a certain category if I don't. And, you know, that's a luxury afforded me by Communo. And so, yeah, I get to be a little bit pickier. I'm trying to do that less and less, but, you know, agencies of one don't need to come from a strategy background or account management background or anything like that. I think every freelancer has the same opportunity. And if you have specialized skills, I started my career as a graphic designer, you know, 20 some odd years ago, right? And so I haven't done that kind of work in ages, but because it just doesn't really light my fire anymore. But it's, you know, yeah, it's, you know, and I know Erin still and does a lot of writing for her clients and stuff like that. But, you know, getting into that, I like to feel like we're more of the solutions architects, and those are the kind of jobs that I go looking for, the big problems to solve, where I can play with other Communo members and create opportunities for them.
yeah.
I'll add. Oh, go on, John.
No, go ahead. I was just going to talk about you anyway.
Oh, well, I'll just talk about. I'll just cut out the middleman. No, Rob, I was going to add to that I think that there's a lot of like testing the waters and seeing how far you want to go in letting go of your core competency in just becoming sort of the manager, and how much of that core competency you still want to do. I know that I personally have tested it where I'm like, I'm not going to do any more writing because that's what I think an agency means to me. So then I was just like contracting out everything. And then, you know, it takes a while. I'm like, I'm not happy not writing. So I'm going to bring some of that back, you know, and it's that ebb and flow, and it takes a while to figure out exactly what works for you.
Yeah. And to me, you know, I mean, I was going to say about Erin. Erin is a perfect example of somebody who's really positioned well within her specialization, right? Which is writing. And my specialization happens to be the strategy piece. I'm really not that good at Facebook ad management. You know,
that's important, knowing what you don't want to do also.
Yeah, it really takes me a long time to figure out where to put the menu on a website. I'm not like, don't ask me to do that.
Yeah. I hear that.
Yeah, but you know when to call upon that expertise, right?
Yeah.
Which is a talent that I don't think we should take that for granted, because a lot of clients don't. They just don't know. They don't even know what the problem is sometimes, and it's our job to kind of help them understand that, or articulate that. But they don't know who to even bring to the table to help solve those problems, and that is a skill. So
Absolutely. Awesome. We will hop into the last question here. What advice would you give to a freelancer who wants to transition to being an agency of one?
So I'll jump in. Number one, go as far upstream as you feel comfortable. And by upstream, I mean in terms of the organizations, in terms of the prospect organizations you're talking to, and also in terms of getting at the higher level of solving the problem. When we see the world with the particular set of skills we have, the hammer we are holding, everything looks like that particular kind of fastener, that particular nail. But if you're able to talk about the problem that the client is trying to solve, you may find that your solution isn't the best solution for what they have, the problem that they have. And so then you can begin to think that way of, as Rob's been talking about, of, okay, your actual problem is not going to be solved with a new design. Your problem is going to be solved by writing, by better messaging, right? So being able to speak at the problem level, at a higher level, that's one way that I see is like gets you out of that specific, I'm doing a particular kind of activity. That said, I don't think, again, going back to specialization, I don't think that you should abandon your specialization unless but you should add that layer of moving up higher in the organization, and also looking at the problem set differently. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, I think my advice would be, I have a lot of advice on this, because there's so much that goes along. If you want to make that transition, there's a lot that goes along with it. But I think the steps are pretty simple. But I think it begins with a mindset, and because my mindset is this: I have the mindset that I'm the principal of the world's biggest agency that doesn't have an office, that doesn't have any employees, doesn't have massive overhead to pay for, and every week it's my responsibility to walk the floors of my agency to meet the various talented people that occupy the seats, right? And so that I'm aware and I understand who I have available to deploy on my own client engagements. And as a freelancer, I think you need to start walking the floors too, right? You need to know, or you should want to know who you want to have on your virtual bench. Who are the others in the community that you really want to work with, no matter what they are, and reach out to them and make that connection that John was talking about. Who's sitting in the seats of the floors of your virtual agency, right? I spend time each week trying to get to know one new member and touch base with two members that I know already. And I was just telling Aaron and John that for ages I've been keeping them in this spreadsheet, just so, and that's where I turn to when I need some expertise. Who have I talked to already that I know about, who does this kind of thing? Last week I talked to a writer and content marketer from Portland who specializes in purpose-driven brands and non-for-profit work, which is awesome, right? And they're now someone in my list and on my virtual bench who I've met, who's new, who has skills and expertise that I may need to call upon. And I think so. The mindset is really this. I think, like I mentioned before, every freelancer has that same opportunity that I have to think that way, but that it begins with that mindset shift, right? Don't feel like you're in this alone and that you need to have every answer or need to pretend to know how to solve every problem, right? Call upon others and make those connections, because you never know when someone new who you've connected with will allow you to have a different kind of discussion with one of your clients, or may pull you into a discussion with one of their clients.
It's exhausting to have to pretend you know it all. It's so nice to know that it's okay, not that you don't, but you have.
It's liberating, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it is liberating. That's exactly right.
Yep. I have a shirt. It's bright red and it says, I don't know on it. Literally, I would.
That was like a, dirty words, like, in the ages, you always had to pretend that you knew what you were talking about, and I don't feel that need anymore.
No. Okay.
It's kind of like a, I don't know, but I can find out.
Right.
That's right. Yeah.
Let's find out.
I don't know, but I know someone who absolutely can tell you what the answer is,
You'll
right?
know. Yeah.
That's the idea. That's the mindset.
Awesome. Do
Totally
we have
agree.
any other advice for the freelancers who want to become agents?
I think when Christine and I used to talk about this concept of, all meaningful change begins with a change in language, right? I think if you want to make some steps towards not being seen as a freelancer and being seen as an agency of one, find something else to refer to yourself as, whether it's solution architect or general practitioner or whatever you want, like, Nick Fury, it doesn't matter, but help clients see you in a different way, right? And help just try on different labels. I went through a whole positioning exercise just myself, and to kind of end up in the territory that I ended up. And it's comfortable for me, and it may not be comfortable for everyone, but if you always are thinking about yourself as a graphic designer or a UX person or a social media marketer, it can feel limiting, right? And so start to have new conversations with yourself, write about it, dialogue with others in the community, have chats with people and try different things out. Anyways, just that idea of trying to find new language that feels right to you, so that you're breaking out of those boundaries that you've probably put yourself in.
Yeah, don't wait for it to come to you, right? Don't wait for the opportunity to arrive. Don't sit there and say, someone will notice me eventually. Like reach out, communicate, use the platform, especially since we're talking in the context of community, use the platform, use the gratitude, use the ability to chat to other people, make yourself known. Share what know your limitations, and find, seek to fill those limitations instead of with, going and doing a YouTube webinar about XYZ. Find somebody else who knows that. Right?
Yeah. I think Communo works best when your attitude first, second, and third is always, how can I help? How can I help? How can I help? What can I do to help you? It's never like, come to me, come to me, come to me. It just has to be like that. Even when we were talking, a few minutes ago about admitting you don't know the answer, but I can find out the answer for you. Sometimes that means that you simply just give up a potential client and just hand it off to someone else because they're just truly the right person, and you're okay with not even taking some margin from it because it's just not about that for that particular exchange. And you're just happy that you were able to give the work to someone else and happy to just be helpful like that. And it always comes back to you.
Yep.
And I think that, you go into Camino like that. And so that that's part of, where the opportunity is, where can I, fit in? How can I walk the halls? Who can I have a virtual coffee with this morning? That's all part of, I think, this idea of giving first.
Yep.
Absolutely. Awesome. Well, I think that's a great wrap up to our first three questions. We will allow a question period as well. So anybody who is an attendee right now who wants to send some questions to, absolutely. We're also going to bring in another member of the Communo team. His name is Patrick. He should be hopping on here. Hey, Patrick.
Hey, everyone.
Hey, Patrick.
How are we doing?
Good. Hey, thanks, John, Rob, and Aaron. I appreciated listening in. And it just sends me down memory lane. I've also made this transition, and Rob was there to see it, from being a freelancer to an agency of one. So I can certainly empathize with the questions on everyone's mind. And this is all really valuable information that you guys have been exposed to here today. If you ever need any help, I know all of these folks are super generous with their time. Please do reach out to them or the Communo team. We'd love to help you make that jump. I wanted to just take 2-3 minutes here while you guys are thinking up your questions and run you through a really exciting product release that we're about to launch. We've been working on it for just almost 3 months now. And we've been working with some of our best members to identify what the requirements of it should be and how Communo can really be better. And I think it's a great dovetail from the conversation we're having around the difference between being a freelancer and an agency one. Ultimately, it does come down to scaling yourself and hiring people instead of doing all of the work. And Communo has been a great resource for businesses to do that, but we're eager to make it a better one. So what I'll quickly do is I'll share 3 slides with you. It won't take long, and then I'll walk you through a product prototype that is actively on our QA server today. So we're testing the bugs, and over the holidays, we'll be putting the finishing touches on it and launching it out to the community. And I think Rowan has a link that she can share with everybody as we want to canvas for our first beta users. So if you guys are eager to participate in the launch of Bench, we're eager to have people show us where it could be better. So bear with me here as I run through this short presentation and a quick product demo. So Bench is a feature intended to help people not just find talent, but to manage talent. And that is really where agencies of one start to spread their wings. If you're always on the cycle of finding a new person, it gets to be a bit challenging. But I think, you know, Rob, Aaron, and John can all think of the top 5 people that they work with, or the top 15 people, or the top 20 people that they work with, and they probably have a virtual bench in a spreadsheet. I know most agencies do all this in spreadsheets because when I've worked at agencies, I help to manage these spreadsheets. So we're eager to take the names and the numbers and email addresses out of the Excel file and put it into a much more receptive environment to building connections and managing talent. Let's take a step back here and think about the ingredients of Communo in our product. First, we have the Communoverse, and this is the talented community of freelancers and agencies and individuals that make up the 60,000 folks, give or take, in our community today. We currently have a tool called our applicant tracking system, and this is what employers use to post jobs, receive applications, and award jobs, and kind of manage that hiring process. Communo's innovation here is that it's non-commissioned and it's unlimited. A lot of other platforms will tack on a 30% fee or a 15% fee, and they'll gate, you know, applications and things like that with a fee to freelancers. So we're trying to innovate the space through the pricing model. But what's still missing here is the fact that most people don't have a way to manage and curate this talent. So we're thinking a lot about Spotify in the last few months of Communo, and thinking about talent as flavors, like Rob was describing earlier, of different people you need for different problems. And we realized that the platform really lacks a strong tool to manage talent in an ongoing way and build those relationships that really support businesses and agencies from the bottom up. So to do that, we thought of employer branding challenges, talent benches, which is the core innovation to the product we're going to add, and some managed services that we are now providing through, you know, payrolling and stuff like that, just to facilitate that hiring process. But there's still one piece missing here, and that's the reality that, you know, the 60,000 people in Communo might not include the 10 people that you already know and work with offline. So one of the biggest and most exciting things about Bench is that it opens the door in our community to all of the offline talent. So it'll be the only platform to allow you to consolidate a bench specific to your needs and curate that bench and grow it as you continue to hire and manage talent through the platform. So hopefully, as a philosophy and a concept, that all makes sense. But where the rubber meets the road here, you'll see in the prototype. You're going to see a couple of new things here to the platform as well. So this is a profile that is going to be launched with Bench. You can see that we're now adding more proxies for trust beyond vetting. So your education, your associations, any accreditation you might have, or your social media links. And we're also including things that we've learned employers want to see, like a rough guideline of what somebody's rate is, and a benchmark for their experience. But all the same stuff that we have today that you know and love that make a rich freelancer profile will still be here. The inclusion of Bench is small on this profile, but you can see a little folder here. And when you hover over a profile photo, you'll see this folder, and it'll allow you to start to think about storing profiles for your hiring needs later, or for your management needs. When you're looking through the members on the website, here, Aaron, you're in every mock-up we ever do. You'll see that you have a red.
I should give credit to the guy who did the headshot on that.
There's a red folder here. The red folder implies that somebody is already on your bench, your core bench of your trusted contractors. Our black folder implies that somebody is not on your bench, but they're stored in a list and you're saving them for later in some way, shape, or form. And then gray means that they're in nowhere attached to your inventory of talent. And these three tiers of management really give employers a framework to think about, not just finding talent and discovering people, but kind of like bookmarking them or adding them to your like list that you would on Spotify when you find a good song. When you click on one of these folders, you'll get a dialog window that pops up and says, hey, you can add this to your core bench. Everybody has their core bench, but you can also create any amount of lists that you need. Maybe you need photographers in LA for a project, or you want to sort of collect technical writers as you go, or copywriters or designers, or you can just create a list on the fly. Once you get into your bench, what you'll see is a very human approach to managing talent, not a bunch of names and spreadsheets with rate cards that are outdated and email addresses that may or may not be active anymore. So you'll see the profiles that people log into the app through every day, and you'll see your core bench here of individuals, and then you'll see your separate lists of other talent that you have bookmarked as you've discovered in Communo. You can go into your bench and you can see everybody at a glance that's here. And there's a really important button here in the top button in the top right corner called Invite to Bench. And when you click on that, what it does is it creates every employer's talent acquisition pipeline for the offline world. So you get a custom link to a custom branded landing page for your business or for your agency of one that will allow you to share to social media, to your personal Rolodex via text message. And this is for the use case of an agency customer of ours, Critical Mass. But you can see that, you know, the mock person, Nicholas, is sharing out this message to one of their contractors and inviting somebody offline into their bench. What that person will see is their landing page, and they will then be able to join Communo via this, this pipe in, and land directly on the bench of talent that they were invited to be on. One other thing that I'll just go back to note really quickly is, a lot like your favorite songs in Spotify, your core bench and talent can have people in multiple lists. So you might have, you know, your dance mix from, you know, 2014, which is also has songs from your like list, for example. And Erin, you can see here, is in both of these lists. So she is part of somebody's core bench as well as part of the technical writers category. And this is where it gets to be really powerful. So now when employers are posting jobs, they don't have to post it to everyone in the world in Communo. They don't have to post to the whole Communoverse and sort through hundreds of applications. They can curate lists of talent and then post the jobs directly to those lists. So you might discover that, you know, there's 50 technical writers that you really like working with. So the next technical writing job you post, you can post directly to your bench and that list of writers. And this will allow you to manage those jobs in a much more high touch way and sort of build your own little micro communities and your employer brand as you go. More importantly, employer profiles will start to change a little bit too. So you can see here is an employer profile. You can see that they have all of the standard stuff that we've seen and known, and like there's some changes here that you might note, but the most important one here is that for the first time ever, we're allowing employers to collect talent and collect applications for people to be on their bench. And this really marks the turning of a corner in Communo's product, where employers are encouraged to develop an employer brand and position themselves more as employers, and also engage with talent in a new way. So this will be the first of many iterations of Bench. This is just the MVP, but hopefully that gives you a peek into how we hope employers start to think about meeting and managing talent in an ongoing way. Just stop my share screen there and come back to y'all.
Thanks, Patrick. Very
Killer.
excited to see how this rolls out, and I'm very excited to see how Communo adapts and changes with this. Very exciting in the Communoverse. Awesome. Now we're going to hop to, we have a couple questions from people that they've sent in to our panelists today. We have Patrick O'Kane, and he asked, how do you reach out to other people within Communo without being salesy? Is there a good way to come across professional and not to come across as desperate, for a lack of a better term? And is there a formula to a good pitch?
Yeah, I can take a crack at answering that. It's I think the best way to do, because this is what I do, and I'm just like naturally curious about other people's skills, because I go through Communo all the time. It's almost like, you know, like what hockey cards were to me when I was a kid. And like just seeing the interesting things that people do. And I think if you want to reach out, I just reach out to the ones that look, you know, interesting, or I might have a need for, or whatever. But just be upfront about why you want to connect. You know, and so find some new language to use, right? And we were all in this together, and we're all in this for the same reasons, roughly. And so I think it's already implied that there's, you know, some element of selling going on. But I think what you need to do is just approach things with some new language, like I'm looking for some good people to work with, or I'm looking to get to know others who have different skill sets than me, because I've kind of got tunnel vision on, you know, or whatever, right? And, you know, something like that. I think the formula that I think you're looking for is don't pitch, right? Have conversations and free yourself from that need to convince others of your expertise, and replace that need with a healthy curiosity about what it is the other people are doing, and who they're serving, and who they're not serving, and their category expertise and all that stuff, and just become naturally curious.
Yeah.
Agreed. I think one hack maybe to get in without it feeling so random is when you see people post jobs, reach out to them directly and say, hey, I'm not actually the right fit for this job, but something about your profile looked interesting anyways, which would love to learn more about whatever that person's, you know, business is about, and get in that way. So
Yeah.
one idea. So it's not just out of nowhere.
Yeah, and also if you're reaching from, I'm a freelancer and I'm looking for work, and I want to reach out to Rob, or I want to reach out to Aaron or John, it's like, be upfront.
Yeah, just
Hey, you know, I'm here. I've, you know, looking to fill my, you know, I need more work. I'd love to talk to you about, you know, how I can support you, or if you had any ideas, you know, you could help me understand a better way to move in the world. Maybe we could have a conversation. Be upfront.
Everyone loves
I've never
to give
said no
advice.
to one of those inquiries. So
Yeah.
Everybody loves to be reached out to.
Everyone loves to be like, hey, I could really use your advice on how to, you know, get further along in my career. It's like, sure, I'd love to be put in a position of being someone's, you know, sort of the expert in the balance of the equation.
And I feel like, you know, as somebody who has been mentored in my life, and somebody who has received advice in my life and benefited from it, I've, you know, give back, right? So I'm not sitting here saying, no, you can't have what I know. It's like, let's talk. You know, maybe there's something that I know.
That's how Camino works, right? That's the give and get.
Yeah. Yeah.
Totally.
Absolutely. Do we have any other questions from our attendees? I'll let you guys type anything out if you have any other questions. I have a question for the other panelists here. What did you guys think of the new launch for Bench? What are your thoughts on it?
I think it's going to be a game changer. I'm going to go delete that awful spreadsheet that I was talking about
No,
earlier.
send it to me. Send it to me.
Yeah, actually, there's some good people on there you should connect with. I'll share it with you for sure. And yeah, no, I am pumped. Like, I had the butterflies looking at that demo. I'm like, yes, this is going to be. It's for me. I think it's going to be a game changer. That ability to just, you know, collect talent and aggregate that, and get to know people in there. My goal will be not getting to just to know them on the platform, but also having offline conversations as well. Yeah, I think I'm super excited about that. So I already signed up to get to be part of the pilot. So
yeah, me. I'm halfway through.
Awesome. Awesome. I just resent the link as well, just because I see that it's going up in the chat. But yeah, it's super exciting. Erin, John, thoughts?
I'm excited too. I mean, I can't, you know, I match Rob's enthusiasm for it for sure. It's gonna be really interesting to get in there and start playing around and because same thing, you know, oftentimes someone will apply for a job that I put up like a year ago, and I've had some sort of for whatever reason I didn't hire them a year ago, but we've still had some kind of nice exchange, or I perhaps did look through their portfolio, and then something else comes up, and I don't remember, you know, but it's nice to know, it's nice to just put those people, have notes around them, and you know, just have more context around, you know, make sense out of this wide pool of people there.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Sorry to step
No,
on.
that's
So I part of, you know, what's interesting is I was talking to, I guess, Mark a couple, maybe 3 weeks ago, maybe longer, and I was like, I just like, the thing that's frustrating to me is I don't want to, like, I have this thing and it's not a job yet, but I want to explore the idea of being able to pitch this thing, and there's nothing that does this thing that I want to do, which is to kind of group together people who I can then say, these are my people, and where they're going to be who I bring to this, you know,
Yeah.
that
Yeah, it's awesome.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a need that has been like, yes, good. So
Being
yes,
solved.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
I will
Awesome.
definitely be beta testing this. And
That'll
I
be
wish I'd trademarked the virtual bench idea though first. Before
awesome.
Anyway,
you were this close.
good. we should, yeah, it's okay. We share a lot in Communo.
Right.
It's about give and get.
That's right.
Awesome. Do you guys have any final thoughts for the attendees of today's webinar that you'd like to share? Any last minute things that you're like, you know, this is something that I wish I had known?
Yeah, I love John's advice about not being invisible, right? And especially if you're new to the community, right? You know, community implies participation, and you know, there's a give and get to Camino that you just can't. I still can't explain how it works, but the more that you participate, I don't think anyone can. It's just the way that it works,
Yeah.
right? And so the more that
Yeah.
you kind of put in, and the more you participate, the more the community tends to give back, right? It's like it's just it's magical in a way.
Yep. Ditto.
Ditto. Awesome. Well, thank you everybody so much for attending today. I will be posting this recording as well, sending out an email with the link to the beta testing as well, if you want to be a part of that. Thanks so much for joining, and have a fantastic holidays, even if they're in quarantine.
Thanks for putting this on.
Thank you so
Of course.
much.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys.